Ever since Dawn of the Dead hit the big screen, we've all had the exact same survival fantasy. The world ends, the dead start walking, and you and your friends immediately take over the local megamall. You lock the doors, raid the food court, grab some swords from the weird kiosk in the middle of the concourse, and live out the rest of the apocalypse playing video games on a 90-inch TV while the zombies harmlessly press their faces against the glass outside.
It sounds like the ultimate post-apocalyptic playground. But here's the brutal truth. If you actually try this, you are probably going to die. And it won't just be the zombies that take you out. So let's stop daydreaming, set our ground rules, and actually break down what surviving inside a mall would look like.
First, the zombies. We are dealing with classic, slow, shambling walkers. No track stars, no mutants. Just mindless, rotting persistence. Second, the setting. We're talking about your classic indoor shopping mall. 2 floors, a food court, department store anchors at the ends, and a whole lot of glass. You were inside shopping for some new sneakers when the screaming started, the emergency doors locked, and the gridlocked traffic outside made escaping impossible. All right, let's pretend you survive the initial bloodbath in the parking lot and secure the building. Let's go over all the things that give you a fighting chance. Malls are a capitalist utopia, which means they are absolutely overflowing with loot. If you manage to secure the building, you have just inherited a survival goldmine. Let's start with the most obvious advantage, the food court. We aren't just talking about the half-eaten pretzels left on the tables. Behind the counters of every fast food joint are massive walk-in freezers, industrial water lines, and dry storage rooms packed with rice, flour, cooking oil, and canned goods. Even if the fresh food rots when the power goes out, the non-perishables and bottled drinks from the vending machines alone could keep a small group fed for months. Then there's the gear. If your mall has a sporting goods store, you just hit the apocalypse lottery. You've got access to baseball bats, crowbars, machetes, and maybe even a few hunting rifles, depending on your local laws. But it doesn't stop at weapons. You've got water filtration straws, heavy-duty hiking boots, tactical clothing, thermal sleeping bags, and medical supplies from the pharmacy. You don't have to brave the elements. The elements are in aisle 4.
Security-wise, malls do have some hidden perks. While the main entrances are huge and vulnerable, the individual stores are highly defensible. Many of them have heavy, roll-down metal security gates. If the main concourse gets overrun, you can retreat into a department store, pull down the metal grate, and effectively lock yourself in a steel cage. You also have the mall's security room. If the power is still on during the early days, you have access to a network of CCTV cameras. You can watch the perimeter, track zombie movements, and keep an eye on other survivors without ever exposing yourself. Plus, malls usually have roof access via maintenance ladders. The roof is flat, expansive, and high up. It's a perfect spot to set up a lookout, collect rainwater in plastic bins, or just escape the claustrophobia of the windowless corridors below. And finally, morale. Survival is highly psychological, and a mall offers unparalleled comfort. While other survivors are sleeping in the dirt, you're dragging memory foam mattress for the furniture store into a secure back room, wrapping yourself in high-end winter coats, and reading books from the bookstore. That psychological buffer is a massive advantage when the world is burning outside.
All right, that's enough of the fantasy. Let's reel it back in and look at the cold survival math. Because the reality is, a mall is not a fortress. It's a giant, fragile fishbowl, and it's about to break. Let's look at the cons. First of all, malls are literally designed to draw crowds in. They have multiple massive entrances, glass double doors, service corridors, loading docks, and emergency exits. You simply do not have the manpower to watch all of them. And speaking of glass, malls are about 90% glass. Storefronts, skylights, entrance lobbies, it's everywhere. Classic zombies might be slow, but they are heavy. When hundreds of them pile up against a glass entrance because they saw you walking past a Cinnabon, that glass is going to shatter. And once the perimeter breaches, the mall is so massive that you might not even hear the glass break from the other side of the building. By the time you realize they're inside, they are already blocking your exits. Then there's the power failure. When the grid goes down, a mall becomes a terrifying place.
Most of the inner corridors and back service hallways have zero natural light. When those emergency lights finally die, you are plunged into pitch-black darkness in a building that echoes every footstep. And when the HVAC system stops pumping air, the smell is going to hit you. Imagine the smell of a massive food court filled with rotting meat, mixed with the stagnant, recycled air of a sealed building, plus whatever biohazards the zombies bring inside. It's a fast track to respiratory infections and disease.
But at Apocalypse IQ, we don't just look at the building, we look at the people inside it. Human behavior under pressure is the #1 cause of death in a survival scenario. So let's rank the personality types you're going to be trapped with and expose exactly who dies first in a zombie mall. Number 1, the looter. This is the person whose brain hasn't registered that money is now worthless. While you're securing water and medicine, our little stickman looter is smashing the glass at the jewelry store, stuffing Rolexes into a backpack, or trying to drag a PlayStation 5 out of the electronics shop. They are loud, they are greedy, and they make themselves heavy. When the zombies inevitably breach the food court, the looter is too over-encumbered to run. They die because their survival math is fundamentally broken. They valued luxury over logic. Number 2, the action hero. This guy thinks the apocalypse is his time to shine. He's seen every zombie movie and thinks he has plot armor. He skips the practical weapons and goes straight to the mall ninja kiosk to grab a dull, decorative katana. He tries to take on a group of walkers by himself in the middle of the concourse to impress the group, but there's no stunt double here. He quickly realizes that hacking through bone takes massive stamina. His cheap sword snaps in half on the second swing and he gets pulled down. Main character syndrome is a fatal disease. Number 3, the paralyzed panicker. When the glass breaks, the flight or fight response kicks in. But there's a third response, freeze. This person's psychology completely short-circuits. Instead of falling back to a defensible store, they drop to the floor and scream. Screaming in an echoing megamall is the equivalent of ringing a dinner bell on a loudspeaker. Not only do they draw the horde to themselves, but they draw the horde to everyone else in their vicinity. Panic is contagious, and in this environment, it gets the whole group killed. Number 4, the warlord manager. If you have a group of survivors, someone is going to try to take charge. Usually, it's the loudest person, not the smartest. The warlord manager wants to lock down the supplies, dictate who eats what, and enforce their own rules. They start hoarding the food court supplies for their inner circle. This instantly destroys group cohesion. Paranoia sets in. While the warlord is busy arguing with a teenager about who gets the last bottle of Gatorade, someone else gets angry, sabotages the security gate, or steals the supplies and leaves a door propped open. Internal politics in a confined space will ruin your safe zone faster than the undead ever could.
And that brings us to the ultimate flaw of them all. It's simply too big to control. Even if you have a group of 10 highly logical, well-armed survivors, you cannot secure a 2 million square foot building. You'd have to spend your entire day patrolling just to make sure a side door wasn't left open. And remember those roll-down security gates at the storefronts? They are great for stopping nighttime burglars, but against a horde, most of them look like chain-link fences. Zombies can reach their arms right through the gaps. If you're hiding in the back of the shoe store and a horde presses against the gate, you might be safe from getting bitten for a moment, but you are now trapped in a box. You can't lift the gate because their body weight is pressing against it. You just locked yourself inside your own tomb.
Eventually, the resources will dry up. You can't farm inside a mall. You can't purify enough water once the pipes go dry. You will eventually have to leave the mall to scavenge. And when you do, you'll find that the noise of the mall's initial panic drew every walker in a 5-mile radius straight to the parking lot. You were completely surrounded. So, could you actually survive a zombie apocalypse in a shopping mall? Let's do the survival math and render a verdict. Short-term survival rating, 6 out of 10. If you were lucky enough to be in the mall when the outbreak happens, and you don't get trampled in the initial panic, It's a decent place to weather the storm for the first few weeks. The sheer volume of food, water, medical supplies, and weapons gives you a massive head start. If you and a small group can isolate yourselves in a highly secure back room or roof access area, you can easily survive the first month of the collapse in relative comfort.
Long-term survival rating, 1 out of 10. Long-term, the mall is a death trap. It is impossible to fully secure. The amount of glass makes it a structural nightmare, and the psychological strain of managing a large group of trapped survivors will inevitably lead to betrayal or fatal mistakes. Once the power fails and the food court rots, the mall becomes a dark, disease-ridden labyrinth crawling with the undead. You cannot stay here forever. The smartest thing you can do in a mall is use it as a temporary supply cache. Get in, load up your bags with high-value gear, water filters, and non-perishables, and get out while the exits are still clear. Staying behind to claim the throne of the food court is a zero IQ move. Alright guys, now I want to hear from you. Which store in the mall would you instantly run to if the outbreak started right now? Would you try to hold down the sporting goods store, or are you hiding in the ceiling of a Cinnabon? Drop a comment below. I read almost everything you guys post. If you want to survive the end of the world, or at least learn how not to die first, consider subscribing to Apocalypse IQ. Hit the like button to tell the YouTube algorithm you survived this video. Stay sharp, stay logical, and, till next time, keep your IQ high and your heart rate low. Cheers.